and today we're going to be doing kind of like a part 2 to my whole Haunted Mansion thing. A few years ago, a number of years ago now actually, I did a video on the Haunted Mansion because I used to work there. I used to work there for about a year. That was, mind you, like over a decade ago, so it was quite some time ago. But I wanted to talk about in that video, like, what it was like being a cast member, the different positions that we had, pointed out a few things that maybe, I don't know, maybe some people didn't know about. But anyway, I wanted to do a part 2 to that video because there's some things that I'm pretty sure I left out and I wanted to do just a follow up on it. Now this video is not gonna be like a history video, okay? This isn't gonna be Riverboat's about to take off. It's not gonna be like a history video. It's not gonna be trying to give you all of the facts and behind the scenes, whatever. It's literally just things that I learned while I was a cast member at the Haunted Mansion, as well as just some stuff that I've picked up over the years. Also, some more tips and tricks for you as a guest coming to the Haunted Mansion to make your experience the best possible, to get on the ride as quick as possible, and all of that good stuff. So, hope you're ready for some spooky good fun on this really beautiful Saturday here in Florida. Thank you for clicking on the video. I hope that you enjoy it. Grab a snack and a drink because we're talking about one of my most favorite things on the planet, the Haunted Mansion. Let's go. All right, there she blows, the good old Haunted Mansion. Now, like I said, I worked here like over a decade ago, so it's been a minute, so there's things that I'll probably talk about that are no longer relevant at all to this ride. Just want to throw that one out there. I'm just talking from my personal experience of how it used to be back in the day. Things could have changed. I'm sure that they have. Not only did I used to work on the Haunted Mansion, but this is also just in general like my most favorite ride of all time. I mean, you can't go wrong. A spooky, fun, adorable ride, slow moving in the dark. It is one of the best out there. This is how long ago I worked at the Haunted Mansion. This whole area back in here, New Fantasyland, the Rapunzel toilets and like the Beauty and the Beast stuff, the Little Mermaid ride, etc. All of that stuff was just about to be open. In fact, I got to experience Enchanted Tales with Belle before it opened to the public as a cast member. I did it on when I was training at the Haunted Mansion, actually. So all of this was still closed to the public when I was working at the Haunted Mansion. There was like a huge wall right here, and in fact, one of our positions that we had was to kind of man the wall and like make sure, I don't know, just like give some guest info, you know, if people had questions or whatever, what's going on behind the wall or why can't we walk this way, all that stuff. You could be there to answer the questions, direct traffic, stuff like that. I remember the wall. I remember seeing the wall down for the first time and like seeing the tower and like all of this beautiful area for the first time, and that was really a really cool experience. As of the time of this recording, it is spring break time, so I was anticipating pretty long lines potentially for the Haunted Mansion today, and yeah, it's looking like it. The line stretches all the way out that way. I'm kind of hoping parade starting here in 20 minutes that maybe the line will go down. That was kind of my plan the whole time. But worst comes to worst, obviously, we'll just stand in line. It's all right. Well, guys, we're biting the bullet. We're standing in line. It's all the way over here by the souvenir pennies. It's going to be a while. It does bring up a very good point, though, because this is one of those rides where you, as the person standing in line, directly influences how long the wait is going to be. Because the faster that you walk and the more space that you take up inside of the lines, the quicker the line is going to go. It's just one of those unique situations for the Haunted Mansion. We'll talk about that once we get closer to the actual doors. But essentially, in this line, no matter where you are, as long as you walk quickly, as long as you walk fast, as long as you take up all of the space as much as possible, then you're gonna make the wait time go down at least a little bit. Might as well document this for history too while we're standing here. Nice shot of the riverboat and the rivers of America. Can you just imagine the Haunted Mansion without this right next door? Instead, you're gonna be hearing ka-chow, ka-chow. Like, it is a crime against humanity. I will never forgive you, Disney. I will never forgive you, and that's that. Also, good view of the Keel house down here. This is an extended queue for the Haunted Mansion, or at least it was back in my day, again, over a decade ago. I have no idea if they still do this today, but it used to be extended queue for like super long lines. And we called it the Keel house because this is where the keel boats, the Mike Fink keel boats queue line used to be. It used to be another like boat thing that you could do around the rivers of America. That was defunct a very long time ago. Also, in my last video, I did talk about the carriage house here, and I explained like why all of this is here. Like in the first place, I'll give you the cliff notes of the carriage house though. See all the horse paraphernalia? You see the horse paraphernalia up in here. Keep that in mind because it's gonna make sense once you see what we see up ahead. Also see the hoof prints, the horse prints in the ground here as well. Also keep that in mind. There's the spooky music plays. Here's another look here at the keelboat queue line. You can see some paddles in there. Mike Fink keelboats, rest in peace. And the gates say it's going to be 55 minutes. I'm not really sure if it's going to be that long. We will see. Lots of stuff to point out about the actual mansion itself that, again, I pointed out in the last video, so I'm not going to belabor the moment there, but like the turrets up there are shaped like chess pieces. Also, there is a wreath on the front door as well, and it is a funeral wreath. Somebody unfortunately just passed away here at the mansion, and there is indeed a funeral taking place inside of the mansion. Oh yeah, and all that horse paraphernalia that we just saw, well, that's for the ghost horse, of course, for the carriage over here being drawn by the ghost horse. And see, this is what I mean, like, look at all this empty space, not to call people out here, but I'm just saying, this is why the line says it's 55 minutes. If everybody hurried up, paid attention, filled in all of the dead space, there's a reason why the cast members say that. It's not just to be funny. It's not just to be punny. It's legitimately to make your wait time a lot faster. During really busy seasons, usually during the holidays like Christmas and such, we used to have a whole position dedicated to somebody here, like in the queue, literally just saying, move all the way forward, fill in all the dead space, walk as quick as you can in order to get on the ride faster, you know, something along those lines. And it was literally a whole freaking position in order to just simply try and get the line down like as much as possible. So I don't know, I just want to throw that out there. It's going to be more important once we get further up and we're actually like in sight of the doors, but even this far back in the queue, it still matters. Like, pay attention to the person in front of you, walk fast, fill in all the dead space. You're gonna get there a heck of a lot quicker. By the way, check it out, they are indeed doing some construction on Big Thunder Mountain. Honestly, didn't know that they were gonna be doing that much construction to where it required the wildest crane in the wilderness to be working on it, but here we are. Editing Cris here, interjecting per usual, but I was looking up some photos of the Haunted Mansion queue, and in that I discovered and remembered that the interactive queue at the Haunted Mansion opened up in 2011, March actually of 2011, which is about a year or so before I started working there. And that's kind of crazy pants to me. Like, I don't recall it being that new when I started at the Haunted Mansion, but evidently it was. So there's that. It was kind of weird because I was looking up pictures of it and I happened to see like my old coordinators and my old managers that were working at the Haunted Mansion, and it's like, oh wow, that's kind of wild to see again. But here we are. Anyway, I thought I would just kind of add a little bit of story time in here as well, because I mentioned this in the last video a little bit, but back in my day, I didn't realize I was working at Disney when it was going through all of these weird, innovative changes, because back in my day, we didn't have Lightning Lane. We had Magic Plus, right? No. Yes? The wristbands only just started becoming a thing. The magic bands only just started becoming a thing. So that just started being implemented a few months after I started working at the Haunted Mansion. So at the time, we had a whole freaking position when the lines diverge. Like, you can either go into the interactive queue, or you can go to the right and go straight to the front doors of the Haunted Mansion. Now you can't do that. You can't ever do that, as far as I know, because there's always a lightning lane, or whatever the freaking crap they call it now. I honestly don't care. But back in the day, there wasn't a fast pass. There wasn't anything like that for the Haunted Mansion. You just, shocking, I know, but you just simply walked on the freaking ride. And so we had a whole dang position at the Haunted Mansion when it was a little bit busier, when we had a few more cast members there. You would just stand there where those two lines diverge and basically just say, choose either line. Both lines go to the Haunted Mansion, and just answer guest questions when they inevitably ask, well, which line do I pick? Because there wasn't, like, again, no fast pass, nothing like that. So you would basically just say, well, the left side, the interactive queue side, is the more fun way. And the right side is going to get you straight down to the Haunted Mansion. It's going to be the quicker way. And sometimes guests got it and they're like, oh, okay. And obviously they go the quickest way to get onto the ride. Every now and then a person would choose the interactive queue and do the fun way to get on the Haunted Mansion. And then you would, of course, get the people who just like stand there and are just like, what do you, I have a choice? Like, what do you, like, not computing? And obviously, like, if English is not your first language and like all the things, then you don't, it's confusing. That's the point of the story, is that it was confusing. And I think that, you know, Disney at the time had probably pretty good intentions. You know, it's nice to have interactive things to do while you're waiting in line, and it just adds to the story. And now we all love, you know, the interactive queue and this, that, and the other thing. But at the time, it was very, very confusing for guests. And it was really kind of just a pain in the butt to continuously have to tell people, like, both of these lines are going to the ride of the Haunted Mansion. Don't worry about it. I remember having guests, like, choose the interactive. This is a long story time. I apologize. But I remember having guests choosing the interactive line, and like they would go down it for a little bit, and then they would come back up the line, come back up to me and be like, no, we want to go on the ride. We want to go in the Haunted Mansion. I'm like, yes, you're good. Just keep going down the queue. Like, you're going to get there eventually. It's just a fun way to get on the ride. Like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, there were some struggles in the Haunted Mansion queue. Trust me, like, a lot of struggles. Now it's much more streamlined. Everyone just goes down the interactive queue. End of story. No questions asked. But yeah, back in the day, that was quite an interesting time. And then eventually, you know, Magic Plus, right? Magic Plus. Am I saying that right? I feel like I'm saying all these words incorrectly. But anyway, and then eventually the Fast Pass system came to the Haunted Mansion and everything changed. But yeah, it was time. What a time to be alive. Anyway, back to the video. Heading into the interactive queue over here, something I wanted to point out that I didn't point out last time. The busts in here, this whole riddle that's going on here, there is an answer to it. Obviously, there is an answer to it. And you can find out the answer easily enough at the very end of the ride. I'll show you where once we get there. Also, since we are going into an interactive part of the queue, unfortunately this usually slows down the line as well, because of course everyone's enjoying all of the interactive elements of this really awesome queue. So everyone's just kind of hanging out, checking out all the stuff, looking at all the things, reading the tombstones and whatnot. So it makes sense that it goes a little bit slower here, but it is kind of unfortunate. And good to see Master Gracie where he is laid to rest here. Usually you'll find a flower on top of his tombstone. Master Gracie owns the Haunted Mansion, as the lore goes. All of the maids and the butlers work for Master Gracie. And it is kind of debatable if Master Gracie is the ghost host or not. Me personally, I don't believe that he is. I believe that they are separate entities. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. You think they're the same? You think they're different? So up ahead here in this section, right before you go inside of the doors, this is the most critical point to walk fast and to fill in all of the dead space. Basically, everybody from this section here onward, all the way up to the doors, should be able to get inside of the next stretch room segment. So as long as you're in this area in here, you should be able to get into the next one, the next time the cast members open up the doors. Interjecting here again really quick because I didn't quite get to explain or get very good visuals of what I'm talking about here, but I'm putting up a screen grab from my last Haunted Mansion deep dive video, and essentially this whole entire area, you know, when you come around the corner from going through the interactive queue, you see a cast member there, they're telling you to move all the way forward, fill in all the dead space, etc. The line is also diverging into one from the fast pass lane. They're also coming in there too, and it's basically one big gigantic cluster F here. This whole entire area, front to back, side to side, this whole area should theoretically be able to get inside of the Haunted Mansion the next time the cast member opens up the doors. This is supposed to be one big stretch room sized section of people, basically. And in this next screen grab, I actually got it from a YouTube channel called 4KWDW, so shout out to them for actually filming the queue. Good for them. But you can see here there's two cast members there, and then there's like the wall on the right hand side. That's where the two lines diverge into one. So from those cast members all the way up to the doors, that's the section that I'm talking about. All of those people, everybody that's standing in that section should be able to get inside of the stretch room the next time the cast member opens the doors. But it all depends on how backed up the entryway is, because again, it's an omni-mover ride. So if it gets backed up, like if the ride keeps stopping and then the stretch rooms like keep letting people out of the stretch rooms, then it's gonna back up with people. So they may not be able to take a full load into their stretch room because of that, but for the most part, as long as you're in this section, you should be able to get inside. This whole thing is on a timed system. And I'm actually just going to continue to interject here because it's just easier to explain it this way. I tried to very, very quickly in the moment when I was at the Haunted Mansion, but again, it goes by so quick and I did not have time to explain it, and it was super loud and just all of that stuff. So just gonna explain it to you now here because it's a whole thing. But basically what I'm trying to say is these stretch rooms in the Haunted Mansion are all on a timed system. There's no button that a cast member is pressing to make the stretch rooms go, to make the doors open, you know, or the walls open in this case. It's not like that. The whole thing is on a timed system. So what they are using to know, like, when to close the foyer doors and to know, like, to get your stretch room together is the ghost host spiel. So the whole thing starts off when hinges creak and doorless chambers and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, blah, 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 blah. Whenever candlelights flicker or the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror in ghoulish delight. Once the ghost host says ghoulish delight, the stretch room wall inside of the Haunted Mansion is supposed to open, as long as nobody is leaning against the freaking walls. Don't do that. As long as no one's on the sensors in the walls, then the door is going to open to the stretch room, and thus people can theoretically walk inside and get inside of the stretch room. So once the ghost host says ghoulish delight, that is the signal to the maid or the butler to close the foyer doors, to stop letting people inside of the haunted mansion. And now you have your stretch room, because that is just about enough time to theoretically get everybody like settled inside of the stretch room so the door can close properly on time and they can see the proper show of the stretch room. Again, all of this is on a timed system. So there's no buttons that are being pressed. There's nobody in a control tower, somebody like up there somewhere, like looking at everything and like making sure everything's going at the right time. No, it's all on a time system. It is going whether there is anybody in there or not. Trust me, I've been in there. Like when I would open at the Haunted Mansion, the stretch rooms are just going. They're just going. They're not stopping or starting for anybody. They're just going. So that's kind of what's going on there. And that's why it is super, super critical to walk fast, to fill in all the dead space. When the doors are open, when the cast member opens the doors to the foyer, zippity-doo-dah in there, okay? Don't like just putz around, like unless you really don't care, in which case, good, because honestly, you're on vacation. Who should care? But if you want to get on the ride, walk fast, like get inside, don't fart around, walk around the people that are walking slow. Honestly, it's not a line at that point. It's just one big cluster F getting inside of the Haunted Mansion. And the cast members will tell you that. They will literally tell you, walk around the people who appear to be dead, you know, and all the puns. But yeah, that's basically what's going on there. Hopefully that makes sense. As you can see, that's a lot to explain. It's kind of intricate in a way. And additionally, because it's on a timed system, make sure that when you walk inside of those foyer doors, this is your next tip here for you all, make sure you have your entire group with you walking through those doors at the exact same time. I cannot tell you how many times as a cast member I have started to close the doors and then people will say, no, my party, the rest of my party, they're back there. And I'm like, well, then you better get out there. Do you want to ride with them? Do you? Okay, great. Get out then. Wait for them, because you will not ride together if you are not all inside of the same stretch room, basically. So make sure you keep your parties together as well. That is also very, very important. But yeah, that's what's going on with the stretch room there. A little bit intricate, there's a lot going on, and yeah, but it's really super fascinating. I think that it's really super fascinating. When I learned that when I was training at the Haunted Mansion, I was like, my mind was honestly truly blown. And we have indeed made it inside of the Haunted Mansion. Now, once he says ghoulish delight, one of the stretch room doors is going to open, and it looks like it's that one over there, which of course no one's walking into because they don't know that they can. They will get there. They will get there. Apologize, I keep interjecting, but as I'm watching it back, it brings back memories of working in the stretch room, because it's kind of funny because in this moment, like people, like the stretch room opens and then people are just like, now what? Like if you've never been on the Haunted Mansion before, that's like, put yourself in those shoes. I'm sure a lot of people watching this have probably been on the Haunted Mansion, but just imagine somebody who has never been on this ride before, has no idea what they are in for, and the room just like, the wall just like opens and there's just this whole creepy freaking room right there. And you just came in from the Florida sun and all of, so you can't even like see anything. And so I can't, like, again, I can't tell you more cast member stories here, but I can't tell you how many times I would like close the foyer doors and walk in to the room, to the entryway room, and like expect people to be inside of the stretch room, and nobody's in there. Everyone's just standing around the entryway like, what do we do now? Like, and the whole stretch room is empty, and it's like, oh my gosh. It's like herding cats. It is literally like herding cats. sometimes. It can be very, very, very difficult to get tourists to understand what's going on and to get them to do what you need them to do. It got very frustrating at points, and there were cast members, like you were either a person who absolutely hated working the stretch room, like I knew people who hated it. It was their least favorite thing on the planet to do. And then there were people who absolutely loved it because it's freaking iconic. It's the stretch room. Me personally, I think I started off liking it, and then as I understood and like experienced the annoying stuff, I was like, okay. This isn't fun. This isn't fun anymore. This is not fun anymore. And then after a while, when I got like used to it and all of that stuff, I was like, okay, yeah, this is fun. You can have a lot of fun working in the stretch room. You can kind of scare people a little bit. You can be a little bit of an actor in there, you know what I mean? But it is hard work. Like I said, it's like herding cats. It can be impossible to get people to go where you need them to go, to step away from the walls. Again, you know, it's Walt Disney World, so we get a lot of guests coming who English, again, is not their first language. And, you know, in an attraction like this, you're really trying to communicate to people a lot of different things. And it can be tough. I can't tell you how many times I've been stuck inside of a stretch room because people will not get away from the freaking walls. And I'm about to explain this in the video here, but I've been stuck in a stretch room for like what feels like hours or like 5 minutes. It's probably only been like a minute or two, but I've had cast members on the other side of the stretch room like banging on the walls for me to get people off of the walls, like, because otherwise you are stuck inside of that room until people get off of the walls, off of the sensors. There's nothing you can do about it, basically. So I have some horror stories, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting. It was interesting. Yeah. So anyway, back to the video.
There's no turning back now.
At this time, step away from the walls and gather in the dead center of the room.
Your cadaverous pallor betrays an aura of foreboding, almost as though you sense a disquieting metamorphosis. Is this haunted room actually stretching? Or is it your imagination?
So again, the walls are on a sensor, folks. So if you once again want to get on the ride as quickly as possible, step away from the walls. They're not just saying it, again, to be funny or to be punny or whatever. It's literally so you can get on the freaking ride. I'll put a picture up on the screen right now of what the stretch room to the load area looks like, so you can get an idea of like where to stand if you want to get closer to the door, to where it opens up and lets you out into this area here, into the loading area. Apologies for the crudity of the drawing here. I tried my best. But basically, if you're going into the stretch room to the left of the fireplace, if that's the one that opens up for you, try to hang a right as best as possible once you enter the stretch room. And if you're going into the stretch room to the right of the fireplace, if that's the one that opens up for you, once you enter inside of the stretch room, try to hang to the left of the room as much as possible. Obviously, to the dead center of the room, you know, follow the instructions of the cast members and whatnot. But if you can try to stay to those sides as much as possible, you're going to get onto the ride a lot quicker, because you're going to be on the right side when the doors open, and you can kind of see where the sensors are because there is like a little bit of a red light on the wall. So that's a dead giveaway, pun intended, to which of the doors are the actual doors or wall that's gonna open up for you. But again, Stay off of the dang wall. Staying off of the dang walls if you want to get on the ride. I can't emphasize this enough. If you want to get on the ride, stay off of the walls. Okay, back to the video. It's pretty simple to figure out once you like kind of get the hang of like where it dumps you out. But yeah, that's the biggest tip that I can give you all. Walk fast, fill in all the dead space. Keep up with the person in front of you. When it gets to the doors, the front doors, the foyer doors, it is not a single file line. Move all the way up, fill in all the space. Get inside quickly. Your wait time's gonna go way down. And then yeah, stay away from the walls. They are on a sensor. That's how they open. If you're next to the walls, the doors aren't gonna open, the walls aren't gonna open, so you're just gonna sit there in that stretch room and it's really scary. So yeah, that's the biggest tip that I can give y'all. All right, here we go. We are on the Haunted Mansion now. Another thing I want to point out, lots of pictures, lots of portraits, lots of busts, lots of wallpaper, and all kinds of things that have eyes. Like these busts, these famous busts. The greatest ghost writers the literary world has ever known. Those busts, everything here inside of the Haunted Mansion is watching you. If you ever see this ride with the lights on, even the base there, I don't know if you can see it, but the base there has eyes. Like the inanimate objects all are created so that it looks like they are actually watching you as you go throughout this entire ride. The idea is that the mansion itself is alive and it is watching you the entire time. Oh, and there you go. I haven't forgot about these eyes here. But you know who is not watching? There are no surveillance cameras inside of the Haunted Mansion. The only way that they know that somebody is out of the buggy or something weird is going on is because there are sensors on the ground. And so if something triggers those sensors, like if you throw your water bottle over, your purse, your phone, or whatever, or Lord forbid, you get out of the freaking buggy, they're gonna know about that. But other than that, there are no video cameras inside of the Haunted Mansion. Not saying you should go and do crazy things in here, I'm just saying. No video cameras. Another part of the Haunted Mansion that I absolutely love is the raven, the crow that follows you around throughout the entire mansion as well. If you notice, if you pay attention, there is a raven or crow, whatever you want to call it, that is in basically every single room. It was in the conservatory where the guy's like trying to get out of the casket. There's one in the graveyard. There's one here with Madame Leota sitting on the back of the chair. There is a raven in basically every single room is following you throughout the entire ride. I mentioned this in the last video, but there is, or at least there was, a photo album down here in the ballroom that the cast members would add photos of their pets and loved ones who have passed away. I put pictures of my cats who passed away inside of that photo album. Again, I don't know if it's still down there or not, but it was when I worked here last. We're also getting into the attic here where the bride is. This is such an incredibly detailed and themed room. It is wild how much detail there is in here. And you always zip through here really, really fast. Oh, until we stop in a bad spot where I can't show you anything. But basically, you know how the bride is like essentially killing all of her husbands and like beheading all of her husbands? You see it as you pass each of these pictures, that guy's head like goes away. Well, basically, there's like 3 or 4 of her husbands in here, right? And every time that she marries, she gains more and more wealth with every single marriage. So in here, this is one of her first marriages. There isn't too much stuff around it, not too many wedding gifts, not too much things acquired from her first marriage, but it slowly accumulates more and more and more with each guy that she offs. As you can see, there's a ton of stuff in here, right? Tons of wedding gifts and things like that. So that's what's going on here in the attic. Again, so much detail packed in here, and you never see it, and it's always really dark. Now, of course, we're heading out of the attic. Or basically being thrown out of the attic at this point, thrown out backwards. That's why you turn backwards here and you go down the hill. There's the raven there in the corner. And now we're outside in the famous graveyard scene. In my opinion, the best part of any ride out there at all is this scene right here. The best. So I'll just let the camera roll for you. So that riddle to the busts out in front, the interactive busts out front, the answer is here. Right in the corner to the left of the hitchhiking ghost there. There's a picture of who done it in the corner there. I won't reveal who it is, but next time you ride, take a look. Here's a little tip in case you have some mobility issues or even really just in general, since it is an Omnimover ride, it is continuously moving. Don't put one of your legs outside of the buggy and then try to get up that way, if that makes sense. Stand up inside of the buggy and then slowly make your way out of it as it's going past. Don't just put one leg out, put it down on the moving platform, and then try to stand up, because you will fall 10 out of 10 times, you will fall. So if that's something that you have a concern with when you're on this ride, yeah, stand up in the buggy and then get out of the buggy. Another thing I'll mention in the same vein as that I mentioned in my last video, I'm going to mention it again, I'll mention it as many times as I possibly can, because this ride slows down and stops a lot. Just like a lot of Omnimovers out there. And it's because it is continuously moving. So if somebody has mobility issues, they need that ride to stop. They need the ride to slow down. Or, Lord forbid, they fall while getting out of the ride, or whatever it may be, they have to stop the ride. And because it's an Omnimover, it means that every single one of the buggies have to stop. So, the number one thing that I feel all the time when the ride stops is, oh, the ride broke down. Like that's the first thing that people think of is, oh, the ride broke down. My friends, my friends out there, it is not because the ride broke down. I'm telling you, probably 9 out of 10 times it is not because that ride broke down. It is because somebody is having mobility issues and they need the ride stopped or slowed down, or they didn't know that they needed the ride stopped, but lo and behold, they needed the ride to stop. So just want to throw that one out there. It's not because the ride is broken. I promise you, more than likely, that is not the issue. It's just because the ride simply had to stop for somebody else. And that was our ride through of the Haunted Mansion. Went by really, really quick. Hopefully the audio came out okay. I used my little microphone, hoping that maybe that would work a little bit better. Maybe you could hear me over the ride audio, but I guess time will tell when editing Cris does this. Hopefully she's happy. We will see. But yeah, the Haunted Mansion is fascinating. It is a fascinating ride, and in my opinion, one of the most fascinating rides out there. The story behind it, the lore, not just like how it was built, why it was built, and all of that stuff, which is a whole thing in and of itself. And I hope someday maybe I can make a video on that too. But honestly, there's a lot of good literature out there already. I'm sure there's plenty of good YouTube videos and stuff like that out there on the actual history of the making of the Haunted Mansion. But just the lore of the mansion alone, and the stuff that they have jam-packed inside inside of that ride to make it all the more fascinating. Like, I wish that people had a chance to just walk through it with the lights on and have all this stuff understood to them, because I guarantee you a whole bunch of people would gain a huge appreciation even more for this just truly, truly fascinating and fun and awesome ride. I love the Haunted Mansion. It's my favorite ride of all time. And I'm so happy and honored that I was able to work on this ride, that I was able to say that I was a maid here, and to be able to share this stuff with you. I hope that you find it interesting. I can't even really think honestly of too many cast member stories to share with you all. Definitely tell you some horror stories from other cast members who used to work here. Like, I know one lady, like, she opened up the foyer doors, your time has come, blah blah blah, and someone like threw up like right in her face. I tell you what, I would have quit right then and there, so I'm just thankful that wasn't me. But like, stuff like that would happen, you know what I mean? And of course you get a bunch of stupid people here too. Like, I don't know, I got called like Morticia Adams all the time because I had really long black hair. There's a lot of really good memories as well. A lot of great interactions with guests. Like, you can really make people's day here. And it's not just working at the Haunted Mansion, but just in general working at Disney. Being able to make people's vacations all the more special and exciting and memorable was the best part of working here. And that's the stuff that I take with me all the time is, there's not a lot of other jobs out there that are like this. So I'm just really happy and blessed to be able to say that I have done this thing, and also happy and blessed to say I'm not doing it anymore, because I don't necessarily miss it that much, you know what I mean? There's a lot of hard work, Hope that you enjoyed this little part 2 to the Haunted Mansion thing here. I will do my best to link my first Haunted Mansion deep dive video down below for you all, because I really went into a lot of depth into the whole kind of lore and story of the Haunted Mansion, what the different positions are and just all of that stuff. I went into a lot of detail, and so I will link that down below in case you missed it. Alright, let's check out the gift shop. What's going on inside of the gift shop today? Usually they don't have the best Haunted Mansion stuff, to be honest with you. Although this is pretty cool. Is this a weighted blanket? It sure is. That's awesome. Could use a weighted blanket, but I'm not carrying this around with me for the rest of the day, so it's not gonna happen. Okay, I stand corrected. Oh my gosh, he's just sitting on the floor. It's like one of those shoulder things you put on your shoulder. Oh my gosh. It's the Raven. Pressing all over him. Sorry, bud, I'm accosting you here, but I'm trying to get him to go off, and he's not. He only goes off every now and then. Alright, I got some things, even though I'm trying not to buy too many extra things, as I've been saying ad nauseum lately. But when it comes to Haunted Mansion, listen, our days are numbered here, so we're taking advantage of it. And I can't walk away from this. Are you joking? This is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's the freaking Raven from the Haunted Mansion. This will be great in the Haunted Mansion. Oh, sorry, but I gotta pull this tab straight out of your butt. He'd be great in the Haunted Mansion bathroom, but I don't know if I want to put him there. to be honest. Yeah, he's super cute, and he does caw, but man, they're temperamental. He goes off only when the camera's not on, I promise you, but it's the exact same crow noise that he makes in the ride. You guys, literally, this is the best thing. There he goes. You hear that? And his eyes light up. This is the best thing I've ever purchased from Disney. And then I also went ahead and picked up this magnet that says beware of hitchhiking ghosts. Just thought that was cool, classic Haunted Mansion. That's all I got. Gotta take advantage of the annual pass discounts as well. Alright, well, I think that is going to do it for this Haunted Mansion deep dive part 2 video. Hope that you all enjoyed it. Again, hopefully all of that made sense. I feel like whenever I do these, especially for the Haunted Mansion, it goes so freaking fast. so fast through the queue, so fast through the ride, and very slow in the parts when I don't need it to be slow, very fast in the parts where I really don't need it to be fast. But hopefully that all made sense. And again, I would encourage you to see the part 1 to it, because I just went into all of the details and such in that video. Again, that was a couple years ago, so please don't mind like the, I don't know, the shots that I got and the stupid things that I probably said. I don't even want to think about it, to be honest. Point is, this video is over. So thank you so much for watching. Hope that you had a good time with me and my little buddy here. Love the Haunted Mansion. Really hope that Disney doesn't mess with that ride any more than they already have messed it up, in my opinion. So hopefully they just leave it alone and just let it be and just move on. But honestly, time will tell, because honestly, I don't trust this company. Doesn't matter. Anyway, video is over. Thank you all for watching. Got a lot more adventures coming up here, as I always say, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye, everyone. See you later. You want to call for me? Try to say something at the end for the people. Once I turn off the camera, he's gonna do it. That's the thing. That's the thing. Once I turn off the camera, he's gonna caw. Ah, you hear that? Okay, he did it. That counts. All right, bye everyone. See you later. You guys, Tampa Jay figured it out in literally seconds.
Well, it took me. I started just like pushing on it, and then all of a sudden, right under the beak.
So you gotta choke him, basically.
You gotta choke the raven.
Yeah. Look at that.
This is awesome.
Isn't he cool?
Yeah.
So that's what you do, guys, if you buy them.
If I would have saw this and you weren't with me, I would have bought it for
Oh,
you.
100%.
This is amazing.
100%.